The plane's mysterious disappearance had become a legend over time. On a far-off icy mission, Dr. Harrison's crew suddenly found the frozen aircraft, taking pictures of everything with their cameras. They were excited, but a frightening sight inside the plane completely changed their mood. Something or someone was moving inside the aircraft, but what could it be? Right then, he had no idea how much danger Dr. Harrison was putting his team in. While some team members looked around, the others who stayed behind saw something really scary. They knew they had to warn Dr. Harrison and the rest of their group, but it seemed like it was too late already. When Dr. Harrison and his team went deeper into the icy region, learning how the plane could have ended up stuck there, they were shocked by what they saw. What did the team come across? What had upset the watchers? And most importantly, could Dr. Harrison and his team get away safely? Dr. Harrison and his team had been planning this trip for many months, and at last they got approval to go ahead. Dr. Harrison and his team took more photos of the plane in the ice, showing how it looked trapped there and how big it was compared to the huge ice chunk around it. But while they discussed different ideas, they had no clue that one of their photos had captured something that would soon turn their happiness into terror. Right then, the team just knew they had to get closer to the plane. They started the boat's motor again, checking that it was steady. The engine's noise bounced across the endless white space, but below that, they could hear something else. A deep, steady groaning from the ice itself, like the frozen land was alive. Luckily, after gathering and looking at what they found, they quickly decided that the ice would be strong enough to walk on. Dr. Harrison's team member had started looking at the trip photos and found something very scary in one of them. When Dr. Harrison looked at the picture, he was shocked by what he saw. It looked like something was sitting inside the plane. The photo showed a dark shadow behind the aircraft's icy windows, completely still but somehow threatening. While they all wondered what it could be, Dr. Harrison decided that it must just be a trick of the light. "It's probably just shadows fooling us," Dr. Harrison told his team, though his voice shook a little. After checking all their careful notes, they split the team into two parts. One part would stay on the boat, do math and watch the iceberg, making sure the other group wasn't in deadly trouble. The boat reached the snowy land where one of the research camp's buildings stood. He had to stay calm, but somehow, something kept bugging him. A weird metal smell filled the air, sharp and cold, cutting through the normal fresh Arctic air. They were getting close to where the plane was, and they could see the deep water again. For the first time in a long while, he thought he had spotted something far off. His team members had all stopped when he told them to, but when they asked what was bothering him and he couldn't point out or explain what he had seen, doubt started growing among his coworkers. "Wait, did you see that too?" one crew member asked nervously, his breath making thick clouds in the freezing air. The GPS tool in his hand started spinning crazily, its screen jumping between impossible locations. He gave permission again for himself and his team to climb down the iceberg wearing safety gear and look at the crash spot. The freezing Arctic air bit at Dr. Harrison's team while they climbed down the ice formation. Each step made a sharp crack under their boots, the sound bouncing across the frozen land like gunshots. All around them spread a huge white wilderness, broken only by the far-off wrecked plane. The northern lights started dancing above, throwing spooky green shadows that made the wreckage seem to shift and move. Getting closer to the aircraft, the damage became obvious. The body was badly torn apart with pieces scattered everywhere. Marcus, the plane expert, noticed this wasn't a normal crash. "These damage marks, they're different from anything I've seen before," Marcus whispered, his voice barely heard over the screaming wind. In the wreckage, strange cuts were visible, looking weird. The metal edges were bent in impossible ways, as if something had pulled them from the inside out. Around the aircraft were confusing footprints. Sarah, the tracking expert, said, "These footprints are fresh, but who or what made them?" The tracks seemed to change form as they looked, getting bigger and more twisted with each moment that passed. Harrison looked more closely, sure of a hidden meaning behind them. His hands started shaking badly, not from the cold, but from a growing feeling of fear that seemed to come from the very ice under their feet. After the day's disturbing finds, Dr. Harrison's team reached the broken entrance of the aircraft. Door pieces, frozen solid, needed tools to break open. The metal groaned and screamed as they pulled it apart, letting out a stale, old smell that made them all step back without thinking. Marcus picked up a notebook, its pages frozen hard. Each one tells their own story. These things showed much. Quiet proof of lives suddenly stopped during flight. Open bags showed perfectly folded clothes, as if their owners had just finished packing moments before. All the watches they found had stopped at exactly the same time, 11:47. Night came to them, and while the team looked deeper into the wreckage, the harsh cold wasn't the only thing making them shake. Strange whispers seemed to float through the aircraft's hallways, though no one could figure out where they came from. Breaking into groups of 2, the team began a careful search, looking for where the disturbing sounds were coming from. Sarah and Marcus went toward the aircraft's back, while Dr. Harrison and Rebecca headed toward the pilot area. "The sound is coming from here," Marcus said quietly, pointing to a hidden space under. Some fallen seats. A low humming vibration pulsed through the aircraft floor, making their equipment break down and their flashlights flicker in a scary way. With strong determination, Dr. Harrison led the team through the narrow paths of the aircraft. Each footstep echoed with past events, and excitement grew with every corner they turned. The aircraft's inside was covered in a layer of frost so thick it looked like crystal formations, bouncing their lights in thousands of tiny, blinding flashes. Opening the pilot area door, they saw a sight that amazed them. Controls and equipment were strangely frozen in place, kept exactly as they were in their last moments. Ice crystals had formed on the windshield in patterns that looked disturbingly like reaching hands. "This might have the answers," Dr. Harrison whispered, carefully holding the flight recorder, knowing how important this find was. When the team got back to their boat, their relief turned into sudden worry. The normally reliable equipment flashed randomly, and screens showed scrambled information. Their radio crackled with static that sounded almost like voices speaking in an unknown language. While doing a normal check of their surroundings, a team member gasped sharply, pointing toward the crashed aircraft. "Look there, a white shape," he whispered. Others rushed to look, but the shape seemed to vanish, making them question what they had seen. The morning sunlight shined harshly on the aircraft's remains, showing small, strange details around its edges. Dr. Harrison bent down, brushing away fresh snow, showing marks and scratches. These weren't from the crash. They were newer, less worn down by weather. "Someone or something has been here recently," he whispered, creating a wave of worry throughout the team. The scratches formed patterns that looked almost like symbols, carved on purpose into the ice. Beyond the immediate area, an interesting set of tracks caught their attention. They wandered around, sometimes disappearing under snow piles only to show up again nearby. Their shape suggested they were made by humans, but their pattern seemed random. Were they signs of missing explorers, or remains of something even stranger? The team's compasses started spinning wildly, pointing in different directions every few seconds. Could this pattern hold more mysteries, possibly even signs of life? Its wide opening standing out against the white landscape looked welcoming, but also frightening. A strange warmth came from the cave entrance, completely different from the Arctic temperature around them. "We should check out that cave," he said, his voice showing both excitement and worry. The group gathered at the cave's opening, their breath creating fog in the bitter cold. Their equipment batteries started draining at a scary rate, forcing them to save their light sources. Carrying headlights and lanterns, they started going down. The cave walls seemed to pulse with an inner light, throwing dancing shadows that moved on their own from their movements. Going deeper into the cave, the team found a hidden corner inside. Objects suggested someone had lived for a long time. A torn journal, blankets, and other signs of survival. The journal's pages were filled with frantic handwriting that became harder to read toward the end. The cave seemed to guard its secrets carefully. Strange echoes bounced off the walls, changing their voices until they sounded like completely different people. The cave's passages curved downward, bringing the team deeper into the center of the frozen depths. Light from their lamps moved on the walls, making shifting shadows that looked almost alive. The temperature changed wildly, going from freezing to surprisingly warm without explanation. Sometimes, a quick movement would appear in someone's side vision, only to disappear when they looked directly. It became clear the cave wasn't empty. A musty animal smell grew stronger as they went down, mixed with something else they couldn't identify. Stopping often, they tried to understand direction and purpose, hoping it could be another human voice. Every sound made their anticipation stronger, pulling them deeper inside. Their hearts pounded so loudly they were sure whatever was in the cave could hear them coming. Feeling the growing weight of the cave's mystery and sensing possible threats, Dr. Harrison decided to contact the boat by radio. "We've found disturbing things deep in this cave. We might not be alone. We need help right away," he said, his voice showing both worry and determination. The radio responded with only static, cutting off their connection to the outside world. "Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much." Things got much more serious when the group figured out they had walked into a mother bear's territory. Even though they were scared, they couldn't help but feel amazed. Watching the beautiful polar bear with her babies in their natural home was breathtaking. The huge animal's eyes caught their light like mirrors, looking at them with a smartness that felt almost like a person's. The group kept watching the amazing bear, making sure to stay far enough away and not act scary. "Don't move at all," Dr. Harrison told his team in a whisper. "We don't want to make her angry." The bear's breath made little clouds in the freezing air, and her babies played happily close by, not knowing how tense things were. Walking out of the cave entrance, the group stopped to breathe together, feeling how powerful the meeting had been. "That was amazing," Sarah whispered, still shocked by what she saw. The relief of finding out what the mysterious thing was felt huge, turning their fear into wonder. Back on their boat, the group sat around a makeshift table, laying out all the information, photos, and things they had gathered. Their machines slowly started working normally again, like whatever had been messing with them had finally gone away. Looking at their photo evidence, a weird detail that kept showing up got their attention. Making several photos bigger, the faint white shape of the bear became clearer and clearer. With nervous excitement, the group listened to the cockpit's flight recorder. The audio told a scary story of the plane's awful crash. Bumpy air, broken equipment, and panicked calls for help played out, keeping forever the crew's brave tries to fix things. The last moments caught on the recording showed the crew's bravery in their final desperate tries to land safely. It was a heartbreaking moment, making everyone deal with what had really happened so many years ago. "Those poor people," Rebecca said quietly, brushing away a tear. Their Arctic trip had shown a complicated mix of life and history, from the amazing polar bear with her babies to the traces of human life in the plain and cave. It was obvious that the Arctic wasn't just an empty wasteland. The journey had changed their lives, finding the Arctic's hidden truths while showing the delicate balance between people and nature. "We'll never forget what we saw here," Dr. Harrison thought out loud as they got ready to go. What they experienced had taught them that even in the loneliest places, life finds ways to live and grow. With heavy hearts and bigger understanding, they said goodbye to the frozen mystery, forever changed by what they found. Did you like this story? If you found strange tracks near a plane crash in the Arctic, would you follow them or get out of there right away? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the story, follow this channel and hit the like button. Sometimes being scared keeps us from seeing something wonderful. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video. Hope you have an awesome day.